Hey everybody, this is Play Casket, and this is your host, Paraka, and
your co-host, Ghost.
Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and go right into it. We're going to be talking a lot about like accessories and stuff like that for video games. I have not done too many myself. I've have a select few, but you tend to be...
You're the Nintendo guy. You should have all the... They have all the fun stuff, so... But...
Well, I've always been like, I don't know. I think I was more like a Puritan. Like, this is the way it's intended when I was growing up. Like, This is the way it's intended. That's it. And the only reason why, like, I had anything, like, the majority of my stuff was, like, the battery packs.
Oh, okay.
That's most of it. But I'll break down a lot of the other things I did have that was, like, really cool. And there were some things I kind of wanted, but I never really needed to use. But you tend to have... a boatload. Like, while we're here recording, he has a gigaton of stuff just laying around.
Oh, I love my accessories. So, yeah, this one will be about accessories and just really obscure, weird things that... weird attachments, all this weird stuff you add on. But I guess, like, the first thing that comes to my mind is carrying cases. At the very least,
the most standard, yeah.
Yeah, but I love my carrying cases. It's always nice to just because like I like everything on the go. It's always nice to have, any kind of console. You pick it up, put in its case, everything, and you're good to go to your friend's house. Let's see,
which was actually kind of funny for me. Yeah. I just want to chime in on it. Most of the times when we went to a friend's house, our carrying case was the box it came in.
Really?
So we would keep the boxes around and just like shove everything in there.
Oh, that takes so long to. Well, do you do it nice and neat or just?
Well, we wrap the wires together, so certain wires will be in of itself, and then same with the controllers. Like we do that weird cross hatch on the Nintendo 64, so it kind of looks like weird Rambo controllers and stuff because of that. But that's how that's what we would do every time we would go anywhere. We wouldn't go too much of everywhere, but. That's what we would do. Like we didn't have many cases. I think my first case I ever got was for Game Boy, but it was because it came with my black Game Boy. Like it was part of it, and I was able to put it in there, and I had a bunch in there. But beyond that, most of the time we didn't really do it.
Oh, okay. The ones I like are the ones where you could put multiple games in them. Those are always really nice because you don't have to carry. Well. You don't have to carry the big cases. You just stuff a bunch of games.
Well, back then too, it was just the cartridges. Nobody really cared for the boxes that came with, which is kind of a tragedy now.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have kept mine.
Yeah. But as far as carrying cases go, like what's the cool ones that you've had? Like I obviously see some around here floating around, but like. What's been some of your biggest ones that you're like, oh, I actually kind of really like these ones. These ones were really good.
That I'm not too sure actually. I mean, the coolest one I think is that one that was the that silver. It was like a silver. Was it the Intech ones? Where it's like it basically looked like a gun case, like because it's a silver and it's made of metal and everything. You open it up and it looks like a gun case. Yeah, those are really fancy. But
Which is actually kind of interesting. One of the only cases, and this is probably even though I've never had many carrying cases, one of my favorite ones that I've had was actually one for the GameCube, but it wasn't just a carrying case. It was like a weird carrying case that had like a built-in little like mini TV in it.
Yeah.
And
those are fucking cool. I really want one.
Yeah. No, and when I was explaining it to you, like it was much like the gun case that you're talking about. Yeah. Like it seals up, you open it, and like you have your GameCube wedged in one area, and then you have the little access to plug all the controllers in, but you could wrap them up and put them in their separate area. And the ones like I was showing you had the little box for the full case, GameCube cases and stuff. But I had a smaller one that was like that, but it had little like small red and gray and like weird blackish color little plastic disc clamshells that you just close them up. They kind of looked like a little bit larger versions of the UMDs for the PlayStation Portable, the PSP.
Okay. You still have it?
I do not know.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while.
I want to see.
But it was a smaller one, so it was tightly packed. And the reason why I didn't do anything with that was because not much beyond that was actually because of another accessory I got, which was the Game Boy Advance player or whatever that you played on the GameCube. That was like the little baseboard thing, and you put right underneath your GameCube. Mm-hmm. Since it couldn't fit in that case, I think that's why I got rid of it, but I cannot guarantee that.
Okay.
But that was
we gotta dig it up. I want to see it.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite accessory I had because it was more than just a carrying case. It was basically the Switch many years before the Switch was a thing, and it was wild to me.
And it comes with a carrying handle, right?
Yeah, and it came with a carrying handle you didn't even use because it was tucked away.
Yeah.
Like I thought that's actually kind of funny, you know.
Why did they put that on the GameCube anyways?
It was intended to be more portable. That was kind of the thing. They wanted it to be more portable.
Yeah, okay.
But one of the other things anything that was really wild looking, like for cases and such, I think the weirdest one I ever saw was the Game Boy one that looked like the giant Game Boy.
Yeah, Angry Video Game Nerd.
Oh yeah, he mentioned that too. Like it looked like a really big Game Boy. I never saw anybody have one, but I remember always going to Toys R Us, and it was just filled to the brim. I remember like the bottom shelf was just lined up entirely all the way down the aisle because this was around the time where you would still go down an aisle and you pick one of the pamphlets, little like sleeves of where the game would be. Yeah. And you take that and you take it all the way to the front, and then they go to the back and they pull the game out.
Okay.
And like that was just the way it was. And I remember the end cap there because that was where the Game Boy camera printer was, that you could bring your Game Boy camera and you could print out stickers and stuff. Like I missed that era of Toys R Us, man. I missed that area of Toys R Us.
But obscure Game Boy Advance games or accessories, the GBA radio. Have you ever seen those?
I have not actually.
It's like this little piece of plastic that you stick on the end. I had one. I don't know where it's at though. I don't think I can find it though. It's probably my parents' place. But it's this weird piece of plastic that you stick to the end of the SP through the ports, and then you just turn it on. It feels like so cheap, but you tune into the radio and everything like that.
An actual radio, not like in of itself like have a preset options that it would connect to. Like you can like tune into a local radio station.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. So
that's kind of trippy.
Yeah, I gotta find it. I don't know where it's at though, because I remember. One of my friends, he had like a huge thing of, what is it? He gave me like this huge thing of like just accessories because I loved my Game Boy Advance, and he's like, oh yeah, here's this, and I played with it and messed with it, but I was like, oh cool, it's a radio, but I didn't really bother with the radio because radios were everywhere. So, but yeah, the radio was pretty cool though. I hope I can find it though.
Like, how good was it? Like, did it work really good? Did it work really well?
I mean, just like a regular radio would. You get one or two good stations, and everything else is just static.
Well, it picked it up fine, though.
Yeah, it picked it up fine, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think, as far as for, like, the unique accessories, again, I wasn't too into many accessories. My favorite one was the carrying case of the GameCube we just mentioned. But the thing that I liked a lot is, like, personal screens for permanent consoles, like little stay-at-home consoles.
Yeah.
Which I actually ended up seeing a lot of around that time with the GameCube. Was like there was another one where it just kind of like clapped onto the top of it, the system. You opened it up, it plugged into the back, and it fed off the power and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just its own mini TV.
Did they ever make an official Nintendo one, or was it all Intech?
I don't know. I don't know how many brands made it, but I don't think Nintendo ever made one of their own.
Well,
like I don't. But I also saw ones for like the PlayStation, like when they made the PlayStation 2, and they went back and like remodeled the PlayStation and just call it the PlayStation word 1 instead of the PSX. It's the PlayStation 1 or the PS1.
Yeah.
When they remodeled it and it was smaller, they had a weird, like, one that hooks up to the back of it.
Yeah.
That was also like a weird circular TV, which kind of looked gaudy when it was open. And it just looked lumpy when it was closed.
No, that was the bezel. It was circle.
Yeah.
But that was all bezel, and then it had like a rectangular.
Yeah, no,
screen.
I was just saying
Yeah.
that this circular, this screen was circular. I wasn't saying like the actual screen itself, like the presentation was still in standard television and stuff. But I was just talking about just the overall like screen face.
Okay.
And it just looked weird.
Man, I gotta go back and buy these. These are so cool.
I would probably buy the PS1 again.
Okay.
I would.
Yeah.
Like I would buy that with the little mini TVs just so I could sit there and kind of play it on the corner of my house or whatever.
Yeah. And the DS TV tuner, we never got that. That thing is so cool though.
Wait, what?
So the DS TV tuner,
Right.
you plug it into the back, and I don't know if it needs anything else, but you just turn your DS into a TV. Like it tunes into the actual channel. Well, it might not work now because it was analog because we have HD TV now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was analog, but
Oh, okay.
you were able to tune
So
into.
it just picked up standard edition stuff all the time.
Now, yeah. But back then, yeah, it was a regular TV though. It was pretty cool.
Okay. That scrap's just fucking weird to me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like thinking back. Like it makes sense now when I look at it, but honestly, I would have never thought of that type of thing that came up. Like those are really weird, right?
Yeah.
And like, there's been some weird, and I didn't even know that. And we did research on stuff like that, right? And I didn't notice that stuff when we were doing research for this little topic today. I didn't know stuff like that. But there's so many other weird ones. Like there was one, and like I remember it was way back during I think maybe the DS's third year or something like that. And it was just such a weird, unique one. It was a 3DS, not the DS. I apologize. But I remember seeing a Japanese commercial of it put it on the ground, like on the tabletop flat, and then like the game would use the camera to like have it on facing towards the table, and then you slide the the thing around. But it was like some kind of weird slider sensor.
Kind of like a Ouija board?
Not necessarily. Like
Or
it had a little
one?
weird sensor on the back of. I would think it was just part of the game, but I feel like it was also part of the accessory.
You sure it's not? What is it? Bagatsuri Giga Reel? Because it did have a camera on the back too.
No, it was. I only saw it. I think it was only a conceptual type game because they were trying to play a weird millipede. But that like Bakatsuri thing, like that one's kind of wild too. Like it was like a Beyblade and stuff. And
okay, but yes, sorry, but that was actually the Giga Reel that I was gonna touch up on. So, but yeah, we already covered that.
Yeah,
I guess another weird thing was battery packs. I was using it before it became cool because, well, when we played with the because whenever we played Monster Hunter. I busted out the battery pack and everybody was like, "What the hell is that, Ghost?" Yeah, so it's a battery pack because I got a 3DS charging cable with a USB, so I just hooked it up to the battery pack and everybody thought it looked ridiculous until everybody's all stuffed near the outlet with their 3DSs. I'm like, I'm all comfortable at the couch with my battery pack. Yeah. So I love my battery packs too. I don't know, like, it was the first, like, I started using them and then all my friends started adopting battery packs, but they're super convenient. I really like them.
You're doing it way before Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Actually, pardon me. What's really funny was actually I've been using battery packs before even you.
What?
There was these weird like. They looked like hot dog packs that were like wrapped in like a weird plastic cellophane or whatever. And they were basically like rechargeable 4 AA batteries just rolled into one little package. And you crammed it on the inside of your Game Boys. right?
Uh-huh.
And they wouldn't last very long, and they would have to plug in and like charge from one of those like headphone jacks back in the time because charging was pretty archaic. But like I had those, and I'm pretty sure I was like one of the guinea pigs for that stuff because more than one, in fact, more than a handful of mine have like exploded while I've been playing with them. Like, in fact, like segueing from that, there was one that was actually attached to a one of the crappiest controllers I've ever had. Was the Handy Boy edition to the Game Boy. This thing was just this titan of a thing, right?
Yeah.
And when you open it up and such, it had its own little like foldable, self-suspended magnifying glass that had a little backlight to it so it can shine on the Game Boy, and it had like little speakers that basically, like, it was supposed to make your games louder, but basically think about your favorite Zelda music, and then somebody decided to cover that Zelda music using nothing but half-empty Doritos bags. Like, that's basically what it was, because it had so much pop and crackle and stuff to it all the time. It was useless.
Crunchy.
It would just eat up its own battery to a point where it had its own battery that you plugged into it.
Yeah.
And that thing just blew up. And it was just such a tragedy to deal with, right?
Yeah.
That, like, but like I wanted to be the kid that had like the coolest stuff.
Yeah.
And like it even had this little like face thing that slid on the front of the buttons, so you had like a analog control stick and thicker B buttons, but they never lined up A and B buttons, but they never lined up properly. Yeah. And on top of that, they like the edge of the mold just covered just enough of the start and select that you literally had to like kind of, you couldn't just slide your thumb down and hit it because it was just like off in the ledge and underneath. So you actually kind of like had to hold it in one hand and kind of push it. And while you think, oh, you're over exaggerating on that, when you're doing it all the time to kind of like pause your game in the middle of something because you have to help your mother or something like that, it became such a damn pain in the ass. And like it was a constant thing. So I never played with it much. And eventually just got one that had I think it was like the Power Light Boy or something like that. Like I forgot the name off the top of my head. But it snaps on top. I couldn't get the games out, so I have to take those out.
You had to take the whole thing off and
then put it back on.
Oh man!
But I played nothing but Kirby and Tetris anyway, so whatever it was, like that's just how it's gonna be now.
I remember seeing those though. The one thing I kind of hate the most is the magnifying glass. That looks like such a headache. I don't know why people.
Oh, dude, I use that all the time. Like looking back at me playing. There's not a single time where I'm like, how did I look at this small? Oh, yeah, because I had a fucking giant magnifying glass strapped to the top of it all the time. Yeah. I just didn't have any of the rest of the mumbo jumbo. I was willing to press with smaller buttons and stuff at the time because like that whole speaker system thing was just, it was not even a thing that I wanted to deal with anymore.
Headphones? Right. Headphones are pretty decent.
I don't think I really had many headphones. Okay. I did. I think the most I had for like accessories was actually on the Game Boy Advance. I played a boatload of Game Boy Advance.
Oh, I love the Game Boy
Advance. I played a boatload of Game Boy Advance. I only had the one like weird see-through like soft purple, like wasn't atomic purple, it was like a soft purple. It was one of the first generation stuff.
Yeah.
Loved it to death. I even ended up getting a white one later as well because I loved the white. I really miss those type of colors. Like those type of color schemes are cool. Yeah. Like if I could ever find those color schemes for the shell for my Switch, I would probably swap them out.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I usually had so many little like small little accessories, like nothing big, nothing exciting for my Game Boy Advance. but I had rechargeable battery packs. I had like 3 of them, so I could just alternate through them all and stuff. And I always had a spare in case both of them are dead, and I'm a kid and I'm lazy and I don't want to start charge them again.
Yeah.
And I had a little weird swirly light, like it plugged onto the top, and it had the little bendy thing, but it was like curled into a spiral.
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite ones to have because I could always like bend it just out of the way just enough, and I could just like play it and stuff. Because people complained that it was always had to be in the way, and then it never really was.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed it, and I think that was like the only portable system I played extensively. I loved it.
Yeah.
And this was around the time where I stopped playing Pokemon. Like I stopped playing Pokemon on Red and Blue because I just couldn't catch too many of those fuckers anymore.
I'm trying to remember, like, Golden Sun, I think, was one thing I smashed a ton of hours on. What did you do? What was your one game that you just threw a ton of hours on?
It was Mario Advance, which was basically Super Mario Brothers 2. I played a lot of that. I played a lot of the Monster Rancher game that was on the Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
It was not as good as anything else, but since I had access to it all the time, I played it. Like, I would, honestly, if Tecmo Koei just remastered the second one, like, they just have to even upraise it and stuff.
Yeah.
I would play that game again. Like, that particular one, I would play over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, I played so many hours on that on the PlayStation, it was insane. But
what else? Boktai? I played the hell out of Boktai. It was like, you also had like a farming mechanic, and you get rewards for redoing stages. So yeah, you could play over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I never really played Boktai. I heard a lot about it, but
yeah,
especially the interesting little
light
sunlight mechanic.
Yeah.
If you ever want to break that down and stuff too.
Okay.
But I think I played Lunar Nights, which is supposed to be like the spiritual sequel or something.
Yeah,
to that point.
It's nothing compared to the first one. The first one's like,
and that's all I played in connection to it.
Oh,
like
okay.
that's all I had. But I think one of the reasons is because I didn't go outside much when I played it. Like I liked the portability, but I liked being in comfortable places in my house.
Yeah.
Like the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation 2 and the 64 were all in different little areas and TVs and stuff, and they're in basically publicly accessible areas in our house. So if I wanted to play a game, even if it's a single player, sometimes when I wanted to play something just by myself, my brothers always wanted to play with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes there wasn't. And obviously, I got stuck with all the video games, which, it's not a bad rap. But for the most part, I did a lot of the stuff by myself. So the Game Boy Advance was my go-to to just kind of hide in the dark corners of my room to play it with the light and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah.
I dig that a lot, right? And from there, that's probably one of the reasons why I like the Switch so much.
Yeah.
Like, and I like the 3DS. I like the DS and stuff, but I didn't play it as much, mainly because I had other things to do and stuff. But I think now that I'm more comfortable with my lifestyle and stuff like that, I love the Switch. Like, I have no problem with the other systems, but I am willing to take classics and just like collections of older games far more over than just brand new like benchmark historically graphically enhanced nonsense, because I have a computer named Megatron for a reason. I would pick those older games up anytime. And like,
come on Sony, come on Microsoft, step up your portability.
I'm not sure if they ever want to unless they push for like a weird do-it-all thing, and I think that's what's gonna damage them. I think that's why the Vita sucked.
Yeah,
because like it tried to do everything, and
just give us good games. That's the whole reason why.
Yeah, that's it. Just give us good games. And the thing is, it's never gonna look as good as your next PlayStation. Yeah, like it's never going to.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the problems is for Sony is I think they finally like wrapped up a good market of people who want to buy something on brand and something to showcase what they just invested in. Yeah, you know what I mean? like people who are buying a PlayStation 5 right now want us to definitely have games that really uniquely, capitalize on the new power that's there.
Well,
But
Xbox Game
they
Pass
don't-
seems pretty promising because you could stream to your phone. So
Yeah,
you play via browser. It's pretty impressive.
but
so.
I do think with Sony, if they made another Vita or Vita 2, I don't think many people are going to buy it that have a PlayStation, unless they're huge fanboys of the system, of the brand and system. Nobody's going to really want to buy it because it's not going to showcase the same type of games they want to showcase on their brand 65-inch screen TV that they got with their stimulation. The stimmies. And so I don't think they're going to go with that anymore.
Oh,
but
okay.
I think that's one of the reasons why I did like my Switch. And I do have a couple accessories. Like, by default, I do have Ring Fit, right?
Yeah.
But I also got stuff that just came with something, like the Bass Pro Shop gun. It's like this hollowed plastic that literally does nothing for the system. It's hilarious. Like, it's just a weird... The Wii Zapper still looks and functions a lot better.
Yeah.
And the Wii Zapper didn't have any, like, intricate nonsense to it. It was just molded in a way where it felt like it was supposed to be a gun or crossbow.
Can you still find one, the Wii Zapper, or is it like this weird? Or is it like this sought after?
I don't know.
Like,
I think the Wii Zapper sold very well.
Mhm.
That it's not hard to find.
Oh, okay.
Whereas
Because pawn shops I've been going to, I see none of them.
I don't think a lot of people are gonna like. I think when people see the Wii Zapper, they don't keep it in electronics. I think they'll keep it in toys or something like that
okay.
because it's plastic.
I'll keep an eye out.
So I don't think I don't think a lot of people are gonna piece that together. Like
Yeah.
I don't. They were like, "What's this? This isn't electronics," and move it somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
But I do think that the Wii Fit training board and stuff is going to be harder to find.
Yeah.
I think that one's going to be a lot harder to find.
Well, there's only. Hopefully, Nintendo's like, hey, dust those off. We got a new game if you want.
Honestly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if them like wrapping up the Wii Fit 1 and 2 and with Wii U. Like, just wrap that up as a completely, like, I wouldn't say a collection. Like, don't just straight up port it, but like wrap those mechanics up together, modify it for some Switch functions, and just sell the Wii the Wii Fit pad again.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, literally, and make it like a digital game. Instead of having to find a physical version, it's like a digital cheap game. It's like you just have to buy the. If you buy this, you could get a code, and you punch that code in, and you get it for free or something to that point. You know what I mean? Like I think that would work out for that system, but I don't see them doing it.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't.
Yeah. I know they did make a shit ton of money off of that stuff, so they're like, yeah, we're good.
No, I think they don't want to hold on to a warehouse full of them again because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they had to clear that stuff out for a while.
Oh man.
Like that stuff probably is what kind of like Nintendo's like, yeah, I really don't want to hold on to these. Like,
Well, speaking of which, you could make them into like really, you could transform them into other, like recycle the parts for other things too. Because they probably have like a warehouse full of parts too. I've seen a lot of really cool things that people did with like Wii and Wiimotes when they're just like, okay, we got a warehouse of these. What do we do with them? And people would just gut them for parts for really cool stuff. So
yeah, no, I wouldn't put it past them that somebody would do something to that point. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple of patents that out there that Nintendo has that probably suggest such a thing.
yeah,
They just don't do anything with them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
so bad accessories.
yes, we can get to the bad accessories now that we went on weird tangents. The I'm gonna go ahead and let you go first because we already talked about the Handy Boy, which I kind of crapped out a bit. So like, but there is another one I'm gonna talk about.
Okay. The DS Travel Storage Vault. That thing was bad. Like, I remember reading on Electronic Gaming Monthly, Sean Baby, if you guys remember him. He was one of the writers, and he writes about like really bad games and all that funny stuff. And he kept just bashing on the DS Travel Storage Vault. And basically what it is this weird giant piece of plastic with this cover and I think you hold up like 8 DS games in there, but you need this piece of plastic to insert. So it slides like a
Rotates.
Yeah, rotates. This plastic cover covers the games to keep it from falling out. But if you want to get your game out, you have to insert the game, slide it, and then you can pop out the other game. But you can't get all of them out, or if you lose the plastic pieces to get your games out, you can't get your games out. But it doesn't matter because it's not all that secure anyways. But it defeats the whole purpose of just carrying it because it's just this huge giant piece of plastic that you can't really store games. Oh, it's just so bad, and it's just hilariously awful.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of weird like game cases over the years with stuff like that for Game Boy, for Game Boy Advance, for DS. But I think it really hit a high note with the like Game Boy Advance era because I've seen some weird ones that I'm not even sure I could describe anymore. There's ones that were like these like you put them in a plastic case that kind of was very shaped to the Game Boy Advance cartridge, but then you had to put it in little slots in this long case, and you put that and you close that, and you had these 3 long slots that you put into like a weird fanny pack case, and then you carried it around. Like that is such a pain in the ass. Like that was a weird one.
I know.
So I've never I didn't see like much interest in that. A lot of those when they're just cartridges. I just whipped them all in a fanny pack and called it a day. But one of the ones that I didn't like, and it's because I feel like it was just so over the top that it was just so demanding for was, and you mentioned it earlier, the Steel Battalion.
Steel Battalion. Oh man.
Controller.
That's so cool. Though.
Like it was cool in concept. It was. I'm not gonna lie. It was really cool in concept to like be able to control that thing. But it was so punishing of a controller. It was so breakable. It was so expensive, and you couldn't replace it. You had to buy a whole new controller.
Yeah. In case you guys don't know, just Google Steel Battalion controller. It's this giant. You need a table for it, but it's just this is giant cockpit basically. And you need a table to play it. It's cool as hell, but yeah.
It had like 80 different levers and buttons and switches and stuff. Like you had to manage your weight while controlling like a literal mech, right? And you had to control control your weight by adjusting certain things, turning on certain things and stuff, while fighting other mechs and stuff that are just AI controlled. Like there's no weight or anything to them. They're bouncing around like they're from fucking Super Smash Brothers. So it was just.
I heard too. If you don't eject in time, there's permadeath, and you have to start a new file. Yeah.
Yep. If you don't eject, you can't buy a whole new like mech and stuff like that because you earn money and such like that. But basically you'd have to start a new file because your character's dead.
It sucks because I remember the first time I played it. I had a chance to try it at my friend's house, and I turned too hard, and there was a, it just said your mech turned too hard, and I flipped over and I died, and I started a new file. I was like, what? I was only playing for like 3 minutes.
Yep. I did that more than once, and it was just the thing was like. The concept was really cool. If they made a sequel, or if another company like decided I'm going to capitalize on it, or even Capcom themselves, like we're going to see what else we can do with this, like make a weird flight, like space flight simulator with it and stuff. Yeah, I'd be less inclined to trash talk it. But it was just the one game. It wasn't even that popular of a game, and it was so punishing for everything you did. Like there was no reason you needed it to be that punishing for people to get excited for your controller. Like the only reason people would buy it was just to have the novelty of owning a $300 controller.
Could you use it for anything else?
No. Like it was literally only for that game. Like,
well, Dark Souls fans, you guys know what to do, right?
Doom. Run Doom on it. But yeah, it was just the most bizarre thing. Yeah. That like I didn't like because it was just so expensive, so punishing. It was so limited, and it had no purpose beyond that. And like now, dude, you can't even like play that the way you want to. Like trying to find something like that, it ain't happening. Whereas, like, if you were able to sell a bunch of it, and like you're like, oh man, I can't wait to go back to Steel Battalion. No one's gonna go back to Steel Battalion.
Yeah.
Because they all know how much of a Titan problem they're gonna be trying to find it on eBay or something like that at a reasonable price.
Can you play it without the controller?
No.
Oh my god. Okay.
You had to. It's severely limited, and you could have to play it that way because everything was tied to certain buttons and switches and everything. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't just hit R and then hold R and then press A, and that's a different thing as if just pressing A
okay.
itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was just one of those things that, like, even with holding button combinations, there was not enough face buttons on a controller that could allow you to literally be able to do all the buttons and gears on the Steel Battalion game. Like, it was a heavy undertaking that Capcom did, and honestly I'm impressed that they did pull that off.
Yeah.
But what they made was something nobody wanted.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, if you thought Armored Core was punishing on you for having a system that was a little too late, too heavy or something, like having a robot, right?
Uh-huh.
Not just system, just the robot, right? This system and all that, the mechanical system in Steel Battalion was just a nightmare. It would bring back everyone's bad vibes from anybody who ever hated it.
Do you still have what? Do you still have the copy?
No.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't technically mine. I believe it was my brother's.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to play the Xbox too much.
Oh, okay.
I didn't care. I had my own GameCube and stuff, and I was
Yeah.
playing Animal Crossing like it was crack cocaine back then.
Back then? It
back
still is
then.
now. Still is now.
No,
Right.
no. Back then it was crack cocaine to me. Now I experience it and I say no to drugs. Like, it was like that game I played way too much on too. We'll probably have that type of conversation another time. But yeah, no, that was. I think that kind of falls in the weird Japanese accessory category and one of the worst accessory categories I've had.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it kind of falls into both of those categories because it's so different to me, and I don't think there's any other weird ones that are like that except for that weird concept one they could really talk about often.
Yeah.
You know, like, it doesn't stand out. Like, none of these other weird ones, like these other weird ones, like the Bakatsuri Mega Reel and stuff. That just sounds like a toy Beyblade thing to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's amiibos.
Yeah.
You know, but
More of like a one-off thing, I guess.
yeah, but when you're changing stuff and you're changing how a game is played, like, it changes so much for me. Like, and you know that just dawned on me. No, I have another accessory that's even worse than the Steel Battalion because it's so useless. It is so useless. I don't even understand why they did it. They literally made an entire series in Japan that was just platform shoes that you can shove your Game Boy in. Like, literally just big ass platform shoes, and then just have like weird slider, and it just like exposes the thing very close to the ground. Not even like, oh, it's a hidden compartment in my shoe. Pop, it's a Game Boy. No,
Yeah,
it's just like sitting there, facing out, like, sup, bitches. I play Pokemon. It's in here. Don't trip me and take my Game Boy because that's gonna make me cry and hurt
Sure
a
that's,
lot.
well,
Like, it was a.
I've heard of it because I saw it on the news when Pokemon was like really, really huge and they were showcasing them, but I don't know anybody who had any of those though.
Apparently, it was like a fashion statement for like small sections in Japan.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
Like, they made those, and like, I don't recall that many doing it. But why the hell would you do that? Like, I think a loose fanny pack's too dangerous for a portable system. Like, no, I'm not doing that. First of all, it's tie dye. I'm not touching that. Second of all, it's a fanny pack. Don't give me that. I'm not carrying anything in that for my games. I don't want my games to feel insulted.
Well, that's okay, Paraka, because now that we have, now that fashion is more of a statement, or fashion is like so high end, just look at Supreme shoes. We got $300 shoes that people just walk on. So Game Boy is nothing compared to these $300 shoes. Right?
No, you're wrong, and you're wrong for thinking it. Feel bad, but no. Yeah, it was such a weird, bizarre one. Like it bothered me back then. Like I was like, why would you? The Game Boy is so like.
It's
How
so
do you even play
lovely.
it? You just like kind of cross your legs and just yank the thing up and just like I'm gonna. Oh crap! I gotta play my. I gotta turn this on. Or you accidentally like stub a toe and you're like stumble a little bit. You accidentally turn the thing on, so it just drained your battery. So you know what? You're kind of SOL playing and catching that Mewtwo now because you kind of left the thing on because you completely forgot that that's how it works.
Well, it looked like there was a flap that you could just pull it out.
Some of them,
Yeah.
like there was other ones. There was ones that like on the side, like it was just slides in, and like the top of the Game Boy Color was like facing outward, so like
Yeah.
you could easily like oh I gotta adjust my shoe, and I'm pretty sure people have done this too, taking their toe to their shoe and just kind of banging on the top of the cement and stuff, and kind of like readjust your foot and your inside your shoe without like actually doing it. I could see somebody doing that,
Yeah.
and then like turning on their game, and they're like, "What's that sound?" Ah, it just must be the wind.
I
And just
want to see. I wonder if there's somebody on YouTube who reviews like, oh, I got me a pair of these, and
Oh my god.
I want to see.
I don't know. Like, if we ever get that big, I'm gonna go ahead and hunt down some, and I'm gonna just walk in them. I will walk in platform shoes with a Game Boy, with no games in it because I'm a respectable person. And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna review that myself. I have no problem doing that. Just get me some shoes and get me some popularity, and I will go ahead and do that for you all.
Okay, and then
But
I guess one of the other ones that I kind of hate, silicone cases.
oh god.
I hate silicone. Why would they're so cheap, but there's so many of them. They don't protect anything. Why do we keep making these? Like,
Silicone makes titties look horrible. What makes you think it'll make a video game system look better? Like, it's like cutting two halves of a lemon and just putting it on a chest and stuff. That looks gross.
like
And then you're like, I'm going to go ahead and put that on a game system, and that's going to look even worse. Because the
Like-
colors are all off, the texture's all weird.
yeah, they're hard as hell to put on, and then, what is it like? Yeah, they're like dust magnets. You put them in your pocket, and you take them out, and they're just covered in dust. And then,
Your pocket's clean.
well, they don't they're not very drop proof either. Like, if you drop them from like a couple inches, it's like okay, it'll keep it from scratching. But if you drop it from like 3 feet, don't do
Well, it really depends on the silicone mold too. Like
Yeah,
if they
true.
have that like I've seen some and like I could reason with it. Like it has a little like back pad to it, so you had a broader grip for those with bigger hands.
Uh-huh.
If you drop something like that, I could see it kind of squishing and absorbing most of the impact from that thing.
Oh, okay.
On that perspective, that's
Yeah.
actually one of the reasons why silicone cases that surround a phone works very well,
Yeah.
because the softness kind of impacts it. But it's the thicker the silicone, the much more easier it does that.
And then
If it's thinner, then it's not gonna do shit.
yeah, and then they get dirty so easily. Like
Oh god, yeah.
anybody who has any, like especially if you have a white one, it's just all yellow and brown and the.
Like what? How did it turn purple? That's not even a natural color.
I don't remember anything purple rubbing up against this.
Yeah. Like name one thing that's naturally blue. Blueberries. No, they're fucking purple.
Purple.
But yeah, no. That was silicone. I don't get it. Like the silicone stuff is so weird to me. Like it's just, and then like even when you're playing with them, they kind of slide around too on the face of your controller and stuff. So they don't really like kind of stay on either. Like they're just
Oh my god,
they're
that's
just
like
they're
my
just
huge pet peeve, too.
abrasive.
Yeah,
They're not great at all. Like
and you put them on wrong, and you're like picking at it all day. Oh my god.
Yeah. Or the weird, like, the other one that's a pet peeve of mine is like the shells that you just clack over something. Because that just keeps all the dust in there.
Yeah.
For when you open it, and it's just
I kind of like those. Well,
feel bad for having a wrong opinion.
Well, it depends, I guess. Usually, if they're really, really bad quality, I'm like, I'm not gonna touch that. But
Honestly, I honestly would just mod my controllers flat out. Like that's just how I'm gonna do it. Like that's it for that. So, but yeah, no, that's some accessories we all enjoy, think are weird, and Maybe they should be making some interesting accessories that are actually kind of cool for the Switch.
Come on, Switch! I would like the weird stuff.
What,
Give us
what's
a TV tuner.
TV an HD TV tuner. No, I'm actually really curious what the Switch would actually get right now. Like that would be very unique. Like they already ported over the Taiko drum controller.
Yeah.
Which is just a port over.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Congo drums, but I'd never really seen them before. But they've done that, and it's only available in like Europe and Asia.
Yeah.
And because America, like apparently hates Asians.
Well, Japan hates America too, so we never get any of the cool shit.
That's fair. That's okay. That's an okay opinion to have. But yeah, no, we'll find out how other weird shit that's gonna come out there, and then we could go ahead and make an entire new channel or a new episode just mocking the crap out of them. But thank you all for coming by. This is the last bit of what we're gonna have this conversation for tonight. Thank you guys for listening, and if you like our content, make sure you hit like and smash that subscribe button. I'll talk to you all guys later. Bye.